Mayor. I would like to call today's Sports Authority Board of Directors meeting to order. We appreciate the Tennessee Titans for hosting us today, again, out at the beautiful Nissan Stadium. Football will be starting before too long, and it's exciting to be here and kind of get the spirit of the Titans program. We were just here last week, and where we had an informational session to review the MLS stadium documents, and we will be considering those agreements today. As always, the appeals process for any action of this board can be found at the top of today's agenda. We have our meeting minutes from our June 21st meeting in our packet. At this time, we will review the meeting minutes. If there is a motion to approve the minutes from June 21st, we will entertain that at this time.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. So we're just a few minutes late because prior to this meeting, we had our Finance Committee meeting held just the room next door. So, and part of our Finance Committee is chaired by Lisa Howe, who is sitting next to me. And this was her last Finance Committee meeting where she's serving as chair. Some of you may or may not know that Lisa and her family are moving to Dallas, and so this is her last Sports Authority meeting today. Lisa has had a tremendous impact on this board and our community as a whole. I've had the great joy of getting to know her personally, as well as our daughters go to school together. So I will miss seeing Lisa here and also a pickup from time to time as well. Lisa was first appointed to this board in March of 2016, and since then she jumped in with a lot of spirit and compassion, and she served as the Nissan Stadium liaison and also the chair of finance. So at this time, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board. We really appreciate your service, and we'll certainly miss you.
Thank you.
And we have a cake. We have a cake in honor of Lisa as well. But at this time, I'll pitch it over to Monica to give us our ED report.
Well, thank you, and I would just echo everything that our chair has said about you. It's really been a pleasure to work with you and get to know you, and we wish you and your family the best. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. As usual, we have a very full agenda. Following my report, we'll receive a report. We'll take it back to Lisa for a report from the Finance Committee meeting. Chairwoman Adkins has already noted that we were here just last Tuesday for an information session. For those of you who were not at that meeting, it was a very thorough review with Law Director John Cooper, and a lot of good questions were raised and answered. Mr. Cooper is back with us again, and so he'll briefly review the documents one more time, and then the board will be asked to vote on all of the stadium documents. Following action on the stadium documents, the Sports Authority will receive an update on the Ford Ice Center at Bellevue. I know we're looking forward to hearing more about that project. We'll entertain any facility questions, is our practice to do, and then receive the Titans Nissan Stadium report. Are there any questions about the agenda? Okay. Well, really, other than that, there's just a couple of updates that I wanted to give you. As you know, we've been working with Metro Procurement to issue solicitations for, number one, a construction manager for the proposed MLS stadium, and number two, the parking contractor to manage the Sports Authority controlled parking lots at Nissan Stadium. July 17th, just a couple days ago, was the deadline for both solicitations. review of the proposals that have come in and evaluation is getting ready to begin. And then our goal is to bring an intent to award back to the authority at the August meeting. You know this because we just went through this with the design solicitation, but after a wait period, we'll enter into contract negotiations, and then we will bring a contract back to the board for consideration. And then speaking of contracts coming back to the board for approval, a couple of you have asked me about the design contract with Populous that the board approved in form last month. It's hard to believe that was just last month. But the contract is basically done. We're finalizing an exhibit. The contract will then go to the chair for final review as we discussed last month. And then it will be executed and routed to signatures. So this has been a process, and we are coming to the end of it. I think we all feel good about the progress that we've made over the last month. And so I appreciate your patience with that. And then finally, I just want to give a shout out to the Sounds, who had 5 members on their roster selected as participants in the 2018 AAA All-Star Game that was just held on July, the 11th? Where was that? Columbus. So congratulations. Are there any other questions? If not, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Monica. Moving along in our agenda, next up is our Finance Committee report.
Okay, I want to start by, I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I've had to serve this city, to be asked by the mayor, and to get to work alongside all the people and to get to know our partners out there. I am so grateful. I've had just a great experience and really have gotten to know and come to like so many of you, and it's hard to move and it's bittersweet. And I wish everyone the best of luck going forward. There's so many great things going on in Nashville and in our sports community, so I just wish everyone the best continued success. Many of our board members were at the Finance Committee meeting. I thank you for being there. We spent the bulk of our time discussing a resolution that would approve phase 1 of a video sound system upgrade at Bridgestone Arena. I thought Kyle Clayton, Sean Henry, and Bob Lackey did a great job of sharing information, answering questions. We have seen a list of these projects going back to November 2017. We were updated again in April of this year. And most of our discussions centered around the SIF loan, being able to having funds available there, being able to possibly extend it, being able possibly to expand it. I think.
Explain what the SIF is.
No, I cannot.
Capital Improvement.
Capital Improvement Fund.
Acronyms.
Yeah, Capital Improvement Fund. I think the Predators are taking on a little risk. I think they are confident in being able to extend and expand. And I agreed with that. I thought they deserved to be confident. And I know that they're working with First Tennessee Bank, and Bob Lackey explained really how they're pushing through that. So if you've read the resolution, the Finance Committee did approve it as amended. There was an amendment. I don't know, Margaret, if you want to.
Do you want me to read that to you?
Do you mind?
Okay, so if you are looking behind tab 3 in your binders, the first recital, the Powers Management brought in some additional information, some plans and specifications, so that we didn't have when we drafted the document. So in the first recital of the resolution, it says, whereas Powers Management, manager of Bridgestone Arena, has indicated by letter dated June 28, 2018, and here's where I propose to insert some language that says, and plans and specifications, and phase 1 plans and specifications provided at the July regular meeting, and then attached here too is Exhibit A. So that in conjunction with the June 28th letter and the plans and specifications that were provided, that will be Exhibit A upon which the review was made and the approval was given at the meeting. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you. So there may be further discussion from the board, but I would move approval of the resolution as amended, as the Finance Committee has approved it.
Thank you. We have a motion to accept the Finance Committee's recommendation to approve the resolution. All in favor? Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and Finance Committee's recommendation is approved.
And I can just end, the Finance Committee meeting ended with an update from Janine Kaufman from the Titans, and I believe she's going to cover that later on in this meeting, but we appreciate the additional information, so thank you. And I believe that is it for the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Lisa. I thought one other interesting piece of sitting in on the Finance Committee was the Predators organization reported on the pre-sale of tickets for all of the upcoming events and the continued increase of other events at Bridgestone Arena, and it is record-setting and continues to be just phenomenal, and just wanted to make sure we noted that, so thank you for that report. Next up, we have consideration of the MLS Stadium agreements. Metro Law Director John Cooper is back present today. He presented to this board last week and walked through the four agreements that is before us, and there have been a couple of updates since last week, and Mr. Cooper will walk us through some of those.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Glad to be here. There are two changes, one change to the development agreement and one change to the stadium lease from that occurred from our discussion at the last meeting. The first was to clarify and include a provision that the Sports Authority will be able to use the facility for Sports Authority board meetings. There's a specific provision added in the use section for that purpose. In addition, the Development Committee, which I'll go through in a minute, but the Development Committee throughout the design and construction process has been increased from 4 members to 5 members, and the 5th member will be a representative appointed by the Fair Board. So you would have 2 from the team, 2 from the Sports Authority, and 1 from the Fair Board. So those are the 2 changes from what we reviewed last week. Would you like me to just kind of give a high-level summary again of the agreements that
I think that would
you'll
be
approving?
helpful. And in addition to, since our meeting, the Fair Board has met, and they
Yes,
approved the ground lease that was also.
correct. That's one of the documents you are being asked to approve, and the Fair Board approved that 2 days ago unanimously.
So do we want to start with the ground lease? or-
Sure. So
And that's tab 4 in your packet.
the ground lease, this is the document that the Fair Board approved. The agreement is between the Fair Board and the Sports Authority. This is a 30-year agreement for the ground beneath which the stadium will be constructed. The property is being leased in as-is condition. There's no responsibility that the Fair Board will have for any of the construction or any of the cost. It's just for the ground lease. It's a rather vanilla document. It's a standard ground lease. Our standard form includes all of our standard provisions. Also includes a list of prohibited uses. It is only to be for a stadium and other approved lawful uses, nothing that would constitute a nuisance or any kind of heavy industrial or commercial activity. Next, I'll cover the next document is the development agreement. The development agreement and the guarantee agreement are both included within the stadium lease. but they are separate agreements. So I'll go through the development agreement. This is between the Sports Authority and Walsh Management LLC, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the MLS team. This will be for the construction of a 30,000+ seat stadium on the property at the fairgrounds. Icon Sports Venue, CAA Icon, I think is the name of the company. They will be serving as the team's representative throughout this process. They are a leader in the project management field for sports venues. They've done projects all over the world. Where the project served as a project manager on the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where the Atlanta United MLS team and the Falcons play. For the Sports Authority, Ron Gobble with GHP and CPS will be serving as the oversight for the Sports Authority throughout the project to make sure that the project is built appropriately and on time. So they will be the eyes and ears for the Sports Authority and will be reporting back to you regularly as the stadium progresses. As I mentioned, there is a development committee. This 5-member development committee will meet for the purpose of overseeing the activity and hearing regular reports from Ron and CPS as well as from Icon. The committee will have the responsibility for adjudicating any disputes that may come up throughout the process, and in the event there is a change that would materially impact the future capital needs of the stadium, then the committee will have to work together through that.
And I think on the presentation we're looking at, it still says 4 members, but that has since
Correct,
been
right,
changed
yeah.
to 5. And
Didn't update that till the change was just made when the Fair Board met. Quickly, the construction timeline again.
Can you
Yes,
show
ma'am.
us again where it is in their development agreement, where they work through this process, the language, where that is in the development agreement? Well, I know we had a lot of discussion about that, and
It is on page 6 of the development agreement.
that's tab 6.
And on that page, it creates the committee and establishes the chair and specifies what the roles of the committee will be. And if you look under subsection C, Development Committee Chair, it says that the Development Committee Chair would be the final decision maker on all cost-related items that would not reasonably be anticipated to have a materially adverse impact on the authority's future capital expense obligations. So if it is a minor change that would not have any impact on future capital needs, then the chair of the committee could make that decision. But if it would, then it would have to be adjudicated by the full committee.
thank you.
Sure. On to the construction timeline. It's anticipated that the final plans for the stadium will be submitted to MLS for their review by February 25th of 2019, with a construction start date of June 30th, 2019. And the team would take occupancy February of 2021 to start play for the 21 season. The development agreement specifies the funding sources. The $225 million in revenue bonds will be coming back to the authority for approval if the council approves the necessary legislation during August and September. So that would be coming back to you late in this calendar year. In addition to the revenue bonds the Sports Authority will be approving, there is a $25 million capital contribution from the team. There is also a $25 million stadium infrastructure contribution from Metro that would be in the form of general obligation bonds that would be approved by the council anticipated at their first meeting in September. So those three sources together make up the total funding for the stadium. I would point out, unlike other sports facilities, the team is responsible for all cost overruns. So Metro will not be on the hook for any amount that exceeds whatever the guaranteed maximum price is on the stadium. The next agreement is a construction administration agreement. This is also a new concept for Metro and the Sports Authority. It was determined that Icon, given their expertise and experience in overseeing stadium projects, that they were best suited to kind of oversee the day-to-day construction of the stadium, and they are serving as the team's representative. So this agreement will be between the Sports Authority, the team, and Walsh, who is the team's subsidiary, with Icon serving as their representative. This is modeled after the process used for the construction of the new Atlanta Braves Stadium in Cobb County, Georgia. So we took their agreement and tweaked it to suit our purposes here, but it's essentially the same agreement that was used in Atlanta or in Cobb County. So Icon will oversee the construction manager, which, as Monica said, the bids on the construction manager closed this week. So once that construction manager is selected, then Icon will oversee their building of the stadium as well as the architect designing it. And Icon will serve as a liaison between the Sports Authority and the architect and construction manager. The responsibilities of Icon, it's basically everything related to overseeing the construction of the stadium. They will develop all of the necessary project milestones, the dates that must be met for certain completion of the stadium. They will also work to establish the guaranteed maximum price and will oversee all of the cost and the payment of invoices to make sure that all of the payments are appropriate for the work done. They will assist with the record keeping, which is anticipated that CPS, on behalf of the authority, will work with them on the record keeping aspect to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed in the event of an audit at the end of the project, which there likely will be. The next agreement is the team lease agreement. This is the operating lease for the stadium. That's between the Sports Authority and Walsh Management. Again, a 30-year term to match the ground lease and the term of the bonds.
That's tab 5.
The team is responsible for paying all of the debt service on the stadium as rent. So whatever it's anticipated that the debt service will be in the $12 to $13 million a year range, and the team will be responsible for paying that. They will be entitled to a rent reduction of the amount of the ticket tax and sales tax redirect revenue generated at the stadium. So they will get a set-off from the rent of that amount. For the first 10 years, Metro, not the Sports Authority, but Metro is guaranteeing a certain level or a certain amount of those tax revenues. For years 1 through 5, it would be $4 million, and then years 6 through 10, $3 million a year. So in the event the revenues fall short of that, Metro would make up the difference from the general fund and appropriate that to the Sports Authority to cover that. The rent will be paid twice a year to coincide with the bond payment dates. Walsh is responsible for all operating expenses and maintenance expenses of the stadium. That includes all utilities, all security expenses. There's a very detailed paragraph in the agreement that specifies what those operating expenses are. If you want to review that, we covered that some last week. The Sports Authority will be responsible for the capital expenses associated with the stadium, but as another new provision for the benefit of Metro and the Sports Authority, a portion of the ticket tax will be set aside starting in year 6 for capital improvements, capital expenses. That's something that we don't have with the arena or with Nissan Stadium. So that will provide a dedicated revenue source going forward to cover capital needs as they come up. That amount would be 50 cents per ticket starting in year 6, increasing to 75 cents per ticket in year 8. Walsh will be required to provide a capital asset management plan to the team, to the Sports Authority starting in year 7. That would be provided every other year, and that would be done by a independent third-party consultant that the Sports Authority would have to approve. So the Sports Authority would agree to the consultant, and then the consultant would provide this capital asset management plan that would give a assessment of the stadium and its current condition, as well as projected expenses for the next 10 years, so that the Sports Authority can start planning for those projects. The team will be allowed to play up to 3 games at another venue in Nashville, most likely Nissan Stadium, in the event there's a special game, international game or something that they would need the extra seating capacity for. However, if they do play games outside of the MLS stadium, they would be required to reimburse Metro for any of the rent reduction that we contribute. So if the lost sales and ticket tax revenue associated with playing at another venue, they would be required to reimburse Metro. So we would not be out that money as a result of their decision to play one of their games elsewhere. The team, since it's responsible for all of the debt, it will be entitled to all of the revenue generated at the stadium. That includes concessions and naming rights and advertising. So whatever money they generate at the stadium, they get to keep to go towards their payment of the debt. A lot of discussion went into scheduling issues to ensure that the fairgrounds can hold all of their events that they're required to hold by charter, and there is a language in the agreement regarding consulting with the fairgrounds on scheduling, providing their schedules well in advance so that those can be coordinated. The team's required to cover all insurance on the stadium. That's full replacement cost insurance, as well as $50 million in commercial liability insurance. Included within the lease agreement, the operating lease, is a guarantee agreement, unconditionally guaranteeing, this is a team guarantee, guaranteeing all of the obligations associated with the stadium. That's all debt payments, the rent payments, all the capital contribution, and all cost overruns. As part of the negotiations with the council, when they approved their resolution back in November, language is included in the agreements that in the event John Ingram is no longer the controlling owner of the team, then no personal guarantees would be required while he is controlling owner. But if he ever ceases to be controlling owner, then we could insist on the personal guarantees at that point. So that language was negotiated and included in the resolution and fleshed out more fully in the agreement. The Sports Authority would have to approve any assignment of the lease, and MLS is named as a third-party beneficiary so that they can step into the shoes of the team in the event of a team default. And those are the agreements that you will be approving today, if you so choose.
I have a question real quick before. I think in the very beginning, you had the timeline. Can we just go back to that and put that up? Because this is still, there's several conditions per the council, or this is all conditional based on what the council approved in November, and after action today, I believe it will start the
Correct.
council process.
If the Sports Authority approves today, the next action that will happen is all of the legislation will be filed next Friday with the council. That will include an ordinance approving the ticket tax and the demolition of the structures at the fairgrounds. It will include approval of the private development ground lease, which is just with the Fair Board. It will include the rezoning of the private development portion and the bond resolution, the GO bond resolution for the $25 million in infrastructure associated with the stadium and another $25 million to rebuild the existing buildings at the fairgrounds.
And what we see here is the construction timeline, but I think there's another slide that's just the
Yes,
process.
there's a summary timeline.
And I don't know who's working
That is,
I think it was in the very
I think
beginning.
it's slide 3.
Thank you, I think that's helpful.
So this legislation will be filed next Friday. The resolution is just one reading, but the ordinances are 3, so that would be first meeting in August, second reading the third Tuesday in August, and final action on September 4th. Once that approval goes through, then it will come back in the early fourth quarter for approval by the Sports Authority of the revenue bonds.
I'm sorry.
So I had a question about, just clarification on the bond issue. So there's 225 million revenue bonds being issued,
Correct.
and those would be paid from revenues created at the stadium.
Yeah, those will be paid by the rent payments made by the team, and so that would be revenue generated at the stadium, as well as the ticket tax and the sales tax redirect.
So the 25 million general obligations are usually backed by the issuer. Is that different in this circumstance? So would Metro not be responsible for
Metro
those?
will be responsible for the payment of the 25 million general obligation bonds, yes.
Just want to be clear.
Dudley, yes.
I have a follow-up on the guarantee. I just want to kind of recap what I understand the situation is with the guarantee. What we have is we've got a lease, and the lease is between the Sports Authority and Walsh Management. And Walsh Management is a wholly owned subsidiary of Nashville Soccer Holdings, LLC, which is a limited liability company.
Correct.
And Nashville Soccer Holdings, LLC, is the team. It's what you refer to as the team. And the LLC, the limited liability company, is the guarantor on the lease. And as long as, and John Ingram is the controlling member, the controlling owner of the LLC, and as long as John Ingram is the controlling member of the LLC, there will not be personal guarantees required of the other members of the LLC. Is that correct? Now, a limited liability company's liability is limited to the capitalization of the LLC.
Right.
So the question I have, and I think this is implicit, but I just want to get it out there and I want to hear this, is John Ingram personally committed to ensure that Nashville Soccer Holdings, LLC, the guarantor, is adequately capitalized to ensure it can meet its obligations as guarantor of the lease if the guarantee is called on?
Well, I will not speak on his behalf, but Mary Cavaro with Ingram is here.
Thank you, Dudley. As you know, the ownership group is led by John, a longtime Nashville resident. John, the family, and the company have many philanthropic and civic activities that we've been involved with for many, many years in our community. And as John stated last year, he is committed to the team, and he will ensure the team will meet the obligations of the guarantee if it's ever called upon, and we really don't believe it'll be called upon, but thank you.
Well, I felt like, I think what Mr. Ingram is doing for the city is really, I congratulate his civic involvement and certainly hope that this goes all according to plan, but if I didn't ask that question, I think I'd be doing my job, so thanks.
Are there any additional questions for Mr. Cooper?
I just have a comment. I have said in the past that I've looked at other agreements, and I have complimented the team and the administration and you and the legal department and what you've done, and the council for what they put together. But I think the communication has been great with the Sports Authority. We have from the outset heard the status, and we're given updates and have had excellent communication, and I want to thank you for that. And there's so many things that are good about these agreements that I just think it would be good to point out in the public setting. Metro is not responsible for cost overruns, and that is wonderful for our city. There is a ticket tax from the outset for the capital needs down the road. This is something that the Sports Authority really faces a lot on how to help keep our facilities in the condition we want to. So this addresses that on the front end. The fact that the team is paying rent to cover the bonds for 30 years is outstanding. I know there's some set-offs and some parts of this agreement that, and Metro has some obligations the first 10 years, depending on what the ticket tax and sales revenues are, but I think that's outstanding. I think that there is a clear understanding that the team is paying the operating expenses versus our capital expenses, which we don't have in some of our agreements, which is excellent, has been addressed. I think that that there are assurances, because there are a lot of outstanding events at the fairgrounds, that there's been a lot of trouble taken to make sure that the scheduling of those events will be done in a manner that the public, I think, will be appreciative of, and also considering the scheduling of the team and the revenues that come back to the city, I think is outstanding. And the team guarantee and what we just heard from Ms. Kabara is outstanding also. So I don't know how you want to go through this process. I don't know if you want to take, Madam Chair, each of the agreements, or you want to take them all at once, but I'm ready to make a motion regarding these.
I think if it's the will of this body, we could consider, Margaret Darby has prepared a resolution that would take the MLS stadium dockets as a package that the board could vote, and perhaps it would be appropriate at this time for Margaret to share and maybe read.
I think there's a tab that says MLS docket and stadium documents in your binder, and right behind that is the resolution that was prepared. And
Do you have a number?
It's before tab 4.
4-4, right.
Our binders are getting thicker and thicker every meeting, so bear with us, but
There it is.
see, we're gonna miss Lisa.
All right.
You have it? So this is a resolution that, is recommended. Of course, the board can make its own resolutions, but it's a resolution authorizing the chair to execute agreements related to the development, construction, and leasing of a Nashville Major League Soccer stadium project. And I'm happy to read it aloud if you want me to. Do you want me to do
Please.
this? Okay. So starting with the recitals. Whereas the Metropolitan Council in substitute resolution RS 2017-910, the resolution, condition the issuance of Sports Authority revenue bonds to construct an MLS stadium at the Nashville Fairgrounds upon the execution of several agreements as well as additional Metropolitan Council action. And whereas contract negotiations have resulted in the creation of a lease agreement between the Sports Authority and Walsh Management LLC, the team lease, attached in substantial form as Exhibit 1, which contains the specific requirements provided in the resolution. And whereas contract negotiations have resulted in the creation of a ground lease between the Metropolitan Government by and through the Metropolitan Fair Board of Fair Commissioners and the Sports Authority, the ground lease, attached in substantial form as Exhibit 2, which contains the specific requirements provided in the resolution. And whereas contract negotiations have resulted in the creation of a development agreement between the Sports Authority and Walsh Management LLC, the development agreement, attached in substantial form as Exhibit 3, which contains the specific requirements provided in the resolution. And whereas contract negotiations have resulted in the creation of a construction administration agreement between the Sports Authority, Walsh Management LLC, and Nashville Soccer Holdings LLC, the construction administration agreement, attached in substantial form as Exhibit 4, and whereas the Sports Authority reviewed all of the aforementioned agreements at a public meeting on July 10th, 2018, and whereas after said review, the Sports Authority determines that the execution of the agreements is in the best interest of the Sports Authority and will help facilitate the purpose for which the Sports Authority was created. Now therefore be it resolved that the chair be and hereby is authorized in the name of the Sports Authority to execute and deliver the team lease, the ground lease, the development agreement, and the construction administration agreement, collectively the agreements, all in substantially the forms presented to the board, provided, however, that the chair be and hereby is authorized in her discretion to approve such changes in the form, substance, and content as may be necessary for execution and delivery of such agreement to be conclusive evidence of such approval, provided, however, that such changes in the form, substance, and content which may materially alter the agreements shall require additional approval by the board prior to execution. And further resolved that the board has determined that the execution of the agreements with such changes in form, substance, and content thereto approved by the chair is in the best interest of the Sports Authority and will help facilitate the purpose for which the Sports Authority was created. And further resolved that the chair be and hereby is authorized to perform or cause to be performed in the name and on behalf of the Sports Authority to execute and deliver or cause to be executed and delivered by or on behalf of the Sports Authority such notices, requests, demands, directions, consents, approvals, orders, applications, certificates, agreements, amendments, further assurances, or other instruments or other communications under the seal of the Sports Authority or otherwise, as she deems necessary or advisable in order to carry into effect the intent of the foregoing resolutions, or to consummate the transactions contemplated thereby, or to comply with the requirements of the filings, applications, and documents approved and authorized or contemplated by the foregoing resolutions. And if you so adopt and approve today of July, the 19th of July, 2018.
Thanks, Margaret. Okay, so I believe we have a motion on the floor to approve the resolution for the package of the MLS stadium documents.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries and it is approved. There has been a tremendous amount of effort by several parties working to prepare all of these agreements today. I know we have an ambitious timeline. In particular, the pad-ready June 30th of next year date is significant, and so I know we still have a lot of work to do. So just want to thank everyone who has been working hard to get us to this point. The Sports Authority's approval of these documents is one of several conditions outlined in the resolution that the Metro Council approved back in November. And as Mr. Cooper highlighted and is noted in the presentation, we expect key votes by the Metro Council in the next couple of months. And I know Monica and the team will certainly keep us apprised of that process. So with that said, I think we are moving on in the agenda to the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue update with Danny Butler. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Butler.
That's such a good agreement.
Danny Butler, General Manager of Ford Ice Center and Youth Bridge Ice Center in Bellevue. Just first, wanted to say thank you for everybody who came out to our groundbreaking on June 29th. I know, Monica, you were there, Emmett, Kim, a handful of others, Jad. Thank you so much. I know it was pretty much the temperature of the surface of the sun that day, and we're outside, so if I can control that better next time we will. But it really was a great day. I just want to kind of keep Bellevue top of mind. Just I know we're talking about all the exciting soccer things. Football season starts in a few weeks. The Sounds had 5 All-Stars, and the rest of their teams are playing for the A's right now, which is pretty exciting. But just wanted to kind of keep this top of mind for everybody if you have any questions about it. So first thing, on June 29th, we did have our official groundbreaking for Bellevue and the community center out there. We were fortunate enough to have the mayor, the vice mayor, and Sean all speak very briefly because it was so extremely hot out there. One thing that we definitely, too far. One thing we did was we invited out all of our community hockey teams. We wanted to make sure everyone was involved in this groundbreaking because this project really is for the community, being it is the Ice Center and the Recreation Center combined. So it really was fun to have those guys out there. If you see a theme, my kid's in about 3 or 4 of these pictures, so it was a lot of fun. After that, we definitely invited all the community out too. We went to the Bellevue Chamber to make sure we were involving everybody in Bellevue with this project. So I think we have 15 or 20 local restaurants and companies out there and able to present what they had to offer for the Bellevue community. And then on top of it, we probably had 3, 4, 5, 600 people out there sweating like the rest of us. So it was really good to have everybody there. We kicked it off with the official groundbreaking. Really, we just moved a pile of dirt in the middle of a parking lot. But right behind where that picture is where the facility will lie. And then the next slide, we just got these last week, Monica, is the first kind of renderings of what the facility might look like. Again, first renderings, these can change 700 times from what they are. But we kind of get a look of it. What's really cool about what I like about the facility is it really is very front-facing. Ford in Antioch has a great look and a great design. This project is very front-facing to the road, which really kind of shows our brand and the community center brand, Metro Parks, right next door. So we are moving along very well. We're working well with Parks because we will be working with Parks as it will run the rec center side of the facility. Right now, as you heard in the speech that the mayor gave, is the facility will open in August of 2019. So if we want to go ahead and book the September 2019 Sports Authority meeting there, we can. We'd be happy to host you. And we also have our first event booked for the first weekend in September. So we do have a very aggressive timeline, as we just broke ground last week. But we do expect to be open and hosting events in September to be ready for the hockey season that starts October of 2019. Is there any questions on Bellevue? I know I went through it really fast, but I wanted everyone to kind of keep it a little bit top of mind. All right. Well, thanks again for everyone coming out. I apologize again how hot it was. If you need T-shirts to replace the clothes you had, I'm sure we have some left. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny.
So if I can just say, and Margaret might want to add to this, but the Predators Legal Department, of course, Metro Legal, and Margaret, we're working on agreements. So the Sports Authority, we anticipate that we will lease part of the building from Metro Parks and then would sublease it to the Predators and then Ford Ice.
It technically will be an operating agreement, not a sublease.
Oh, is that, okay. That's it. Thank you.
It needs to be an operating agreement because of the source of funding to construct the building.
We look forward to you reading that aloud to us.
I will read every word if you want me to.
Do we know
No, I don't have time.
So we're working on a timeline, and like we tried to do with soccer and really try to do in every case, we want to make sure that you have sufficient time to review the agreements and the documents. And so we will we will provide that as soon as they're ready and give you an opportunity to digest it before seeking approval.
Okay. Thank you for that report and another ambitious timeline and fun to look forward to for this body and the sports community. It's really exciting. At this time, we are at the facility questions portion of our agenda. And before we hear from our friends here at Nissan Stadium, if there are any questions for our partners at the Preds, in addition to what's been discussed today or at the ballpark, we will entertain those questions at this time. Seeing none, we will move along. And we have our Nissan Stadium report. The Honorable Steve Underwood is with us. Mr. Underwood.
How are you this morning?
Thank you.
On behalf of our ownership and our employees, let me welcome you to Nissan Stadium. Maybe I should say welcome back. We were only here a couple of weeks ago. We're so glad to be able to host you here, both the members and the guests that we have. I was thinking about my remarks before I got started. Next month, we will begin our 20th year in this building. In some ways, I think it looks as good now, maybe better in some ways than it did when we first moved in. We have always sort of appreciated the Spartan nature of our building compared to other NFL stadiums. But even now, as it approaches the 20th year, it's still a great place to watch football games. It's a great place for soccer, for concerts. We don't think about it, and I think it's important maybe that we all be reminded that during calendar year 2018, just as we did in 2017, this facility will host over 300 events. Sometimes we only think about it as places where soccer teams play and NFL teams play. We're much, much more than that. And our building is being used more now than ever. In fact, we expect our usage rate to increase over time. So for those who sometimes are asking about the age of the building in terms of how much longer it's going to last, keep in mind that we have never suggested once, publicly or privately, that we need a new building. And I think it's an important thing as we reach the milestone of 20 years to keep that in mind. Before I move on, I would like to stop again, and I hope that I do this often enough, to thank all of you for your time, the selfless and sacrifice of your morning today, for example, your morning last week when we were here for additional meetings about the MLS team. We're very grateful for your time and for your effort and for your talent and civic-mindedness, so thank you. Again, a fond farewell to Lisa. We wish you the best in all of your future endeavors, and thank you for your contributions while you were here as a member of the Sports Authority and the Finance Committee. Incidentally, we would like, as an organization, to offer our heartiest congratulations to the Nashville Soccer Club and to our friend John Ingram for all of the effort that has gone into making sure that they had a place to play. That's a process we've been through, and even though it's been a long time ago, I still remember. So for all of you who have worked so hard on that, congratulations. It's a great thing for Nashville and a great thing for us. So this morning we're going to have what we hope is a very comprehensive presentation. We have 4 others of our employees who are going to lead that effort. And I want to introduce all of them before I walk away from the podium. Ryan Cowden, Bob Flynn, Janine Kaufman, who all of you know, and Susanna Nickel, who is seated in the first row behind me. Susanna has worked for us for a little over 3 years and would not be here today but for the absence on vacation of her supervisor, Tina Tuggle, who I know all of you know. And we have others of our employees in the room. Our employees are at the epicenter of our business and our culture, and I always want to recognize them when we have an opportunity like this. All of you know Walter Overton, your former executive director, who has been with us for a good while. Jared Puffer from our media relations group is in the back of the room. Bert Nihill, another of our vice presidents, is on the back row. And Anthony King, who handles our AV here, is to my right, just over here on the side. So I thank them for all of the contributions that they make, which are numerous to our organization. We're so proud to have the great people that we have. 4 of our 8 vice presidents, incidentally, are in this room. So a good bit of our management has devoted its morning to helping prepare and being ready to answer questions should you have any. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our newest vice president, Ryan Cowden, who is our vice president of player personnel, just got his promotion a couple of weeks ago. He has been working for us for a number of years. It came very quickly after our general manager, John Robinson, was hired. And he came to us from one of our sister clubs, the Carolina Panthers. He's going to make a presentation to you about the state of our football affairs. Ryan is heavily involved in our scouting and free agency efforts with all of our players, and I'm so proud to introduce him.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations on your...
Good morning to you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's exciting to be here to get a chance to speak to you guys and just give you an idea of where we are with our football team. The vision and drive that ownership has shown in the 2 years I've been here to be successful on the field and off the field is something that keeps us going. And to Steve's point, I think it drives all the employees of the Titans, regardless of what department you work in. We're all trying to work towards that same goal. And that's, you know, Amy and Kenneth and the rest of ownership of what their expectations are of us. So where are we? We're a week away or 3 days away from the rookies coming back, trying to build off the momentum that we kind of captured last year and then really the year before, going to a 9-win team, just missing the playoffs, to come back, battle through it, find a way in, win a game on the road is a big deal. It's very hard to do. The turnover in playoff teams every year is substantial. Finding sustained success in this league is a hard challenge, but it's something that we're looking for. It's not win now and lose for all. It's how can we build the foundation so that we're competitive on the field and have a chance to win every year. Where we are now is, like I said, we're getting ready to come to training camp and really excited to get these guys back on the field. The new coaching staff with Coach Vrabel and his new coaches have done a tremendous job through the spring of developing and teaching. It's so important to teach these players. We get them, draft, free agency, whatever it may be. They're not anywhere near a finished product, and teaching them is still important. Even though they're professionals, there's still a lot of teaching that has to be done. Right now, we'll go into camp with 90 players and evaluate all the way through the preseason until we have to make that cut down to 53 right around the 1st of September. Having said that, I'll kind of give you an idea of where we are. You know, you come off the end of the season, didn't quite get it done in New England, but you took a lot from it. So now you evaluate your roster and you say, where can we get better? And first thing you hit is you hit the free agency period. John, our general manager, and Coach Vrabel, and we believe that it's important to try to take care of your own if you can. In the event that you can re-sign your own players, that establishes continuity, which is paramount to success. It's hard to get. People will pay more otherwise, but it's something, if you can get continuity with your players, it makes a tremendous difference. There's a list up here on the right. You can see there's 5 guys that we re-signed of our own, which is important, as I spoke to. And then a pretty lengthy list of free agents on the left that we acquired from other teams. You know, you can go down through it, and one of the common themes throughout that list is there are a lot of guys with starting experience. They may not come here in a starting role, but you've added to the depth of your football team when you have guys who have started football games. The first guy you see, Malcolm Butler, was basically a 3-year starter as a former undrafted free agent out of West Alabama. Super Bowl champion with all those starts. That is a tremendous asset. Michael Campanaro is a slot receiver with return skills. You know, you keep going down. Will Compton was a 15-game starter in 2016 with the Redskins. And even Blaine Gabbert, Deion Lewis, Benny Logan, all those guys have a tremendous amount of starting experience, which is hard to find when you're adding to your roster. We feel in free agency that the goal is to find guys that fit, not just from an on-the-field perspective, but who they are as people. We are not going to take somebody, if we can get around it, of who's not going to fit in the locker room, in the community, and is part of the overall vision of what we feel is a Titan. There's a profile that we believe in as people, not just as players on the field. So you get through free agency, you make these additions, and then you come right into now you're finishing up draft preparation. So this year in the draft, you know, moving forward, it was kind of a unique situation. We only had 4 picks. Well, we ended up with 4 picks. But we felt like we were in a situation where we had a chance to get a couple impact-type guys. And when you're picking at the bottom of the round, just to remind you, you have success. That's how the league likes it. You have success, you pick at the bottom. So to try to get within arm's reach of a couple guys that we felt could provide impact, we made some decisions to move up in the draft and acquire a couple guys. You know, Rashawn Evans out of Alabama in the first round, Harold Landry out of Boston College in the second round are both players that we made moves and moved up to acquire. Again, feeling that those players fit those qualities on the field and off the field that we speak so highly about. Yes, ma'am.
Do we, since we're hosting the draft, is there any home cooking? Is there a preference this round?
Let's see, I would be sworn to secrecy on any of our draft developments as it proceeds to the 2019 draft.
Because, you know, as an attorney, I know we talk about venue selection and how that can work to your benefit. So
No
I'm just
doubt,
curious.
no doubt. That's something to keep in mind. We'll see how that plays out, but that will definitely be an exciting time. And then, you know, on the third day there, we selected Dane Cruikshank out of Arizona, a versatile wideout turned secondary player who we believe can provide a lot of depth and compete. And then Luke Falk in the 6th round, if you follow college football, he's a highly productive passer, holds a lot of Pac-12 passing records. We felt he'd be a good addition to our team in the development of the quarterback position. So you add all these pieces, right? You add the guys in free agency, you add the guys in the draft, not to mention the near 20 undrafted free agents that we signed after the draft is over to fill out your roster. So now we're at a full 90 players. It's kind of unique. We're actually evenly split. There's 43 offense, 43 defense, and 4 specialists. So we head into camp and see, and everybody's going to go. Now that's where we are now. As we get into training camp, these guys have put in an immense amount of time and work, especially the rookies. They get it probably harder than anybody else. But this is an exciting time to capture. Every year is different. You may put the same 53 players in that locker room, but it's not going to be the same team. The dynamics are different, personalities, success, adversity, all those things you face are different. And that's the challenge, is always finding that chemistry between the on-the-field production and the in-the-locker room cohesiveness that it takes to win. Because everybody's great when you're winning, right, or you're successful. Everybody's happy and smiling. But you get a couple guys hurt, you lose a string of 3 games. If your locker room's not made up of guys with the right insides and the fortitude and those type of things, then you'll crumble. And that's a goal of ours, is to make it up with guys that aren't going to do that, that will just kind of keep their head down, keep grinding, and ultimately get us where we need to go. So we're excited. I think everybody in the city, maybe with the coaching change and Coach Vrabel's energy and passion, John's enthusiasm and his vision, and again, going back to ownership's commitment to success, whether it's facilities, whether it's been, hey, we need this for the players' improvements, the changes at St. Thomas Sports Park, like all those pieces are just an extension of ownership success, our plan for success. So we're really excited about it. Hope you get out to practice, come to training camp with what we've done there with the changes and having the stands and the and welcoming and letting people know we want you here. We want to try to accommodate, and that makes a big difference. I mean, guys perform in front of a crowd, they like it better too. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. It's kind of off the mark, but it was in the news last night. So I'm just kind of curious. You know, we assumed that the flag issue and the kneeling was kind of put to rest when the owners got together and decided that that everybody would either stay in the locker room or stand.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we see one of your key players, and I know you talk about the importance of being good people on and off the field. And I'm just curious as to when you have a key player like that who says, I'm willing to pay, those are the guidelines that have been given him. How does the owners and the team respond to a player who says, I'm going to take a knee and I'll just pay? Is that okay since that falls within the guidelines, or what are the feelings around that? I just thought it was going to be a quiet issue, but it seems like it's not so
No Titan player
quiet.
has ever taken a knee during the anthem. That's never happened. We have had players that have stayed in the locker room, but we have never had a player take a knee during the national anthem.
Okay.
That hasn't happened. I think there may be some confusion about that. They have, from time to time, raised their fist after the anthem had been concluded, but we have never had a player take a knee. In the case of Jarrell Casey, I think our head coach and general manager are interested in having a conversation with him after he gets back from the United Kingdom. We think there may be some misunderstanding on his part because the new league policy doesn't provide anywhere for fines levied against players. If a player doesn't stand for the anthem, the teams can be fined, but not the players. There are two things that can happen that are considered to be legitimate under the policy. You can stay in the locker room, or you can stand respectfully for the anthem. And it doesn't apply just to players, it applies to every employee of ours. So we're not exactly sure why he suggested that he would, as he put it, take his fine, because there will be no fines levied against him.
Good. I was just curious. Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
You certainly answered my question. Thank you very much.
But no, but we're excited. We want to build, found a way to scratch and claw and win 18 games plus a playoff game in the last 2 years. And so we're excited. We've got a lot of young, hungry players. Hopefully get out to camp, bring your families, be around the team, and we're really excited for the 2018 season. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Hope that gives you a little glimpse of where we are and where we're headed going into this season. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, welcome to Nissan Stadium. Glad to have you always here, and glad to provide you this update on what we're doing here. Because, like I always say, our main business for us is the 10 NFL games and playoff games and stuff like that. But we're doing a lot more here now than we have in the past, and that's what we want to talk about. So, we just had CMAs here from June 7th through 10th. Four big nights, hard nights, but 4 great nights for the stadium, for the city. It's a lot of work, but it's a big event, and good event for us. Then we had Monster Jam come here on 23rd, and you all know how much I like the Monster Jam. It's amazing how many kids come out here, families come out here. It's really a great show, and we actually had our attendance this year was more than it was last year, so I really believe that's going to keep growing. And so then after that, before Chesney, we had Nashville Soccer Club on the 7th. So we had the CMAs for 4 nights. We had 2 weeks later, we had the Monster Jam. 2 weeks later after that, we had Nashville Soccer Club. And that was another great event to host them here. That's another good family fun event. It's amazing how many kids come out to watch soccer. But now I want to go from now until, I think it's October 28th. So this, on August 4th, we have open house here. The neat thing about our open house here, we'll have 60 youth football teams play here from 8 o'clock to, I think it's 1 or 1:30. They'll be playing 25-minute games, It's free to them. It's something that ownership wants. I mean, it's part of our core. It's, it's football. So we've done it for the past 3 years. But this one's going to be I think our best and biggest one that we'll have. But it's a great, I mean, we get kids from all over the place, teams from all over the place. So it's a neat thing. So after that, then we'll have the big club come in here, and they'll do an open house practice from, I think it's like 3:30 to 5:30 or something like that. It's always a great event here. Then a week after that, we'll have Kenny Chesney in here, and that's going to be a big show. He's got a great lineup, and it's going to be, we'll have a very large house that night. Week after that, then we're going to have a Titans preseason game. Week after that, we'll have Taylor Swift. She's going to have a huge show in here. 5 days after that, we've got our last preseason game. 2 days after that, we're going to have TSU in here. 10 days after that, we'll have the U.S.-Mexico game here. Is that up next? Oh, okay. Then we'll actually have an open weekend, and then after this game, we'll host our opening game. It'll be week number 2 of the NFL season, but it'll be the 16th. And then we'll host that game. Then we'll have an open week. Then we'll host the 30th, which will be our second home game. Then October 6th will be Ed Sheeran. October 13th will be an NFL game. October 20th will be TSU homecoming. The team's going to be over in London then. And then after that, we get a week off to take a little break. So I just wanted y'all to know from August 4th to the 28th, I think we have like 2 weekends off, which I think you all wanted this stadium to be used a lot more, and we are using it. Steve mentioned we had 300 plus events in here. I mean, those are events that we have going on all the time here, just in the clubs and all these different places. So we are using this building, and it's busy, and I think that's what we wanted to do here. And we're excited about what we're doing here now. And, we hope to have some more playoff games and stuff like that, and hosting them this year. For next year, we've got the draft, which y'all heard about, which we're going to use this facility. I think we're going to be across the river doing some other stuff there, but, that's just going to be a great 3 days of NFL excitement here. Next draft. Then we have the Gold Cup soccer game, which will be right before the 4th of July. Last year we had the Gold Cup here. We had 48,000 people in here. This one we expect to even have more than that. And then after that, then as y'all saw, the United bid. The United bid was awarded by FIFA, and so I think in 2 years they'll decide what 12 cities I think it is that will host it. And right now I like our chances. I mean, it's 2026. It's a long way out. FIFA, the World Cup just finalized. I think it was last Sunday. But I think in 2 years we'll find out if we're going to be one of the host cities or not. But we're excited about that opportunity. We have a number of other things that we can't announce yet for 2019. So we expect another busy year for the stadium in 2019. What else I have? Okay, and then what I also just wanted to mention was you've heard me talk about the suites being upgraded and refurbished. We're done with that. It's 177 suites, all done. I think ownership put in $10.6 million to upgrade those suites. They look great. If y'all want to come by and see one, be more than happy to show you. But what's 10.6 million? I think you've told me. But no, it's 177 suites. It's our party suites, all the personal suites in there. But we're excited about it because it really needed it, and that's something that ownership put the money behind for us to keep this facility. I think Steve said it might look better than it did 20 years ago. I take great pride in this building. It's something I spent a lot of time here, and we're proud of what we're doing. We're not perfect yet, but we're getting better, and that's, like I always tell you, that I want to get better. We're trying to get better. We're trying to get better on the field. We're trying to get better in the stands. We're trying to get better, getting people in here. But I think we're working hard. We're getting there. So, why don't you mention that? Yeah. Okay. Well, during the finance meeting, we talked about the video surveillance system. I think the only thing left there is the undercarriage system to be put up. I think there's a couple cameras outside. Radios, we're going to be ready for those, I think, by August 4th. Trying to think of other things. Got a lot of things going on, as you all know. You all have seen, you've heard our, what we need to do here and what we're doing here. So But happy to answer any question y'all have. Always glad to work with y'all, and Lisa, appreciate everything you did. It's been a lot of fun. I know you'll enjoy your next part of your journey. So, yes, Kim.
Do you have the schedule, for the Titans football schedule on one of these slides, just to,
No, we don't.
I'll look
No.
forward to,
I could send you one.
I'm sure I have it, but I'll just
I could send you the whole
visually
thing
look
if
at
you
it,
want, so.
but, no, I'll be here, trust me.
Anything else I can answer? All right, next up, Susanna Nickel. She's going to talk about our community relations efforts.
She reports to you.
Okay, as Mr. Underwood mentioned, I am filling in for the Director of Community Relations, Tina Tuggle, who's at a conference this week. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly because I have a lot, but please, if you have questions, stop me. So these are kind of the events we're going to talk a little bit about since we've met last time. The Spelling Bee was in March on the 10th. We became the first and currently only professional sports team to sponsor and host a spelling bee in 2016, so it's our third year. We started with only the 41 counties in Middle Tennessee. This coming school season in 2019, we will have 51 counties in our program, which is about 55% of the state. So we're really pleased with the growth in the program. We started with only 68 schools participating the first year. We're up to 248, and I think that number will grow. Registration just opened for 2019. Titans Care, yes.
What's the age for the spelling?
There is
And how do children participate?
Yes,
Is it through
so
schools?
I had no idea how this worked prior to taking on the spelling bee. Students cannot advance to the national competition, the one that you see aired on ESPN every May, without a regional sponsor. So the Tennessean was the previous sponsor of the spelling bee, and we've seen this a lot, the theme of traditional news media outlets, budget cuts, they have to drop the spelling bee. So the additional countings we've adopted have been through budget cuts. Commercial Appeal sponsored 10 counties in West Tennessee that we've picked up. Schools enroll with scripts to participate, and they host a school-wide spelling bee. Kindergarten through 8th grade all compete together. Right. We had a kindergartner, actually. She was 6, 2 spelling bees ago. That's the youngest contestant we've ever had. So 6 through 14 to 15 is the age range. You win the school spelling bee, and then you advance to take an online semifinal test. The top 70 scorers then advance to our regional spelling bee. The top 2 spellers will advance, regardless of their age or school affiliation, to the national spelling bee. And we pay, part of the sponsorship that we have is paying for the students to attend. So there's no cost out of their pocket. The bee program is completely free. They receive study materials through the school and additional resources. So it's one of our probably favorite education initiatives. And we'll be obviously involved for years and years to come. So very interesting development. Titans Caravan is something that we've done for 20 plus years. It's an opportunity for us to bring players out into the community across our market, all 3 states, to say, thank you for supporting us. We try to go to every corner, north, south, east, and west, rural communities, to fans who may not otherwise have had the opportunity to be up close and personal with the team. This year, it usually kicks off around draft weekend. We'll obviously have to reevaluate that for next year, but the idea is kind of to get people excited about the draft and the team in the off season. So in 2018 in April, it was April 28th through May 6th, so 7 days. We traveled 1,231 miles, 15 cities, 3 states. We met with over 3,300 fans, and we had 15 players. You can see Marcus, Derek, Ryan Suckup, and Nate Palmer, but we obviously had more than just those. Taste of the Titans is something we've done for 3 years now. This year raised about $115,000, split equally between Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee and the Titans Foundation. We have the 5K was our next event. we had roughly 2,000 runners and walkers, and that benefits Girls Inc., which is a local organization providing advocacy services and programs for young girls. The baby shower was in June. This was our 4th annual baby shower. It's a partnership with the United Way. We pack diaper bags for at-risk mothers. They have items like bottles, onesies, blankets, wipes, anything you'd need to start that first week out with your baby in a healthy way. This year we packed 2,000 diaper bags, which is up 500 from last year. So far in our partnership, we've been able to serve over 6,500 at-risk mothers. The diaper bags are distributed to United Way's partner agencies, local hospitals, and their family resource centers. This next section is sort of the football section. We do a lot in this space. Obviously, we're very well equipped to serve this particular community. So this event is our high school football recruiting fair. We bring local high schools in Tennessee to the stadium with representatives from colleges and universities, and they're able to talk to the coaches, watch film, look at the high school players' transcripts, and it's smaller colleges and universities with limited recruiting budgets. So they're able to recruit the entire state in a matter of 2 to 3 hours in a central location. So this year we had 131 Tennessee high schools, public and private, 63 colleges and universities in 15 states. Next is our coaches clinic. We do this on an annual basis as well. It's something that we've done for 4 years now. Obviously this year was the first year with Coach Vrabel, and he hit it out of the park. We had more than 300 coaches, which was up about 50 from last year, and then up over 150 from the first year. So we're really pleased again with the growth of that program. And those coaches came from 75 different high schools. Music City Blitz is our annual fundraiser with Special Olympics. We have them come into the stadium. They run the whole event from start to finish. We're really just providing that extra enticement of playing here. We call it where the pros play. Every team has a certain fundraising goal that they have to meet in order to participate, and it's flag football, so it's non-contact. And we have leagues from amateur and co-ed all the way through adults. And we raised $50,000 for Special Olympics, and that helps fund their summer games, which has over 2,500 athletes, and they compete in 6 different sports. This year, Coach Vrabel was their keynote speaker at the opening ceremony, and you can actually see in this photo, he was at Music City Blitz as well as Marcus, who is a phenomenal human. I just can't say enough about our coaching staff and our players and how willing they are to participate in everything that we do. I think that's all I have. That's all I have. And if anybody has questions, I can take questions, or I can toss it to Janine. All right, Janine, you're up. Thank you for having me. There you are.
Thank you. I think it might be afternoon now, I don't know, but hopefully it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Janine Kaufman, Chief Financial Officer with the Titans. And we are going to go through rather briefly kind of the financial overview. We talked a little bit at the Finance Committee meeting as well, so I'm going to hit some highlights, but certainly if anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me, and we'll be glad to answer those. First up is the ticket tax summary. This is something that you guys are used to seeing, of course. As a reminder, the ticket tax is $3. It's then split into 2 different funds, a $1 fund and the $2, both of which have been committed to bond issues or a loan, which has helped stadium improvements here at the facility. This is a detail of the $2 fund, and you can see that the balance currently is sitting at $952,000. As a reminder, these funds are actually kept at Metro. They are not on our books. So each month we submit we do a user fee fund summary payment, and we submit the payment each month to Metro. Metro then actually keeps tracks of these funds, Bob Lackey and his team. So this is not on our books. These are on Metro's books, and they actually hold the cash for these. The next is the Dollar Fund, and the Dollar Fund was issued, and that was the most recent issue. We did the new seats that you can see behind you in the stadium. We did a lot of the concrete restoration and throughout the building, and so those funds were used for that project. You can see that the total loan outstanding on that is $12 million, but is being decreased, of course, each month as we pay into the user fee fund. Metro then pays off the loan. So the total amount borrowed was about $14 million, so we are paying that down, at a good clip, if you will.
So Janine, can you tell me why the past couple of years, the amount collected from the ticket tax looks like it's down from fiscal year 2015 and 16?
So I think if we flip to the next page, which is the ticket tax paid to date, I think, Margaret, that's probably a good synopsis. And this is based off of Metro's fiscal year, which ends June 30th. And this was a conversation literally that Steve Underwood and I were having yesterday. And the flow of the cash. So the cash for the ticket tax is paid as we collect it, which is as a ticket is sold. And that is based off of when concerts go on sale. So we, for example, in 2018, have more events than we've ever had. But the tax cash flows based off of the on sale. So in 2017, we went on sale with, for example, Taylor Swift and Kenny Chesney. Well, when those big on sales happen, that's when a lot of the cash actually flows in. It's not necessarily when the event is held, because we don't want to hold on to Metro's funds. So as the ticket tax is paid by the consumer who actually buys the ticket, then we submit that on the 20th of each month to Metro. And so, Margaret, it's hard to get a clear picture, if you will, from this report as to the flows of the cash as it relates to events, because it's really related to the timing of the on sale and when the ticket is purchased, not when the event occurs.
Yeah, I just hope we keep going up no matter the timing
we
of
are going to keep going up over time. I mean, I think we've totally seen that as we continue to try. And if you could break it down, and I could actually, and I think we do distribute out for you, there's a piece of paper that's not in this presentation, but that's sent separately, that is by event, and the total collected by event. You could take that summary and actually say, okay, these were the 2018 events, and this is the total amount, regardless of when the cash flowed. You could see that it is actually growing over time, if that makes sense.
So to piggyback on that, Margaret, is the number you're talking about for like 2018, 802,000?
Yeah, I was looking, I was looking at the $2 and the $1, and then Janine referred me to the next exhibit, which was the total of both.
Right here. The total ticket tax paid today is like.
But if we look at the $1, for example, 2018, so is that saying that 802,000 has been collected year to date? So with a half a year to go, or just this could actually be a larger number than last year, it looks like, maybe.
That's correct, but it also depends on what we book for 19 that goes on sale in 18. Because a lot of times when we announce a concert, for example, the concert might go on sale in one fiscal year, when the actual show might happen in a different physical year. And that's why I think this slide is a little bit, because it also has all $3 in there. And so you can see for like physical 16, we were at 3 million, physical 17, 2.9, and currently we're already at 2.6 with still 1 month to go. So I hope that kind of makes sense, that it kind of flows on this is the cash that flows, not necessarily number of events that flow or number of attendees who are in the building during a physical year.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Does that make sense? Like I said, it's a little bit, and like I said, we want to certainly, in our agreement with Metro is, as it's collected, we remit. So. Okay. Do I have any other questions on that? If not, I will flip to the Titans user fee, which this is just a breakdown of what we, Titans, have paid in user fee. And if you'll remember from our meeting in May, our user fee for the Titans was actually up slightly. That was paid in for the 2017 season versus paid for the 16 season. So that's a good sign. We certainly feel that the Titans user fee this year should be up compared to 17. Number one, based off of our season ticket renewals that we have had. Number two, based off of our home schedule. We've got a great, outstanding home schedule this year and have actually already sold out some of the games coming up this year. I mean, people are scrounging to get some tickets for those games. So feel really good that the Titans user fee will be up as well. All right. With that, let me move to the capital fund summary. And the capital fund summary, again, this is fiscal year. So currently we are sitting at $87,000. Again, this money is money that is sitting on Metro's books. And I think what's a little bit better slide is the next slide, because this kind of gives you the history of the capital fund since inception. And so you can see interest income that has been earned, event revenue, and as a reminder, the event revenue here is the Metro's portion of the CMA concessions that are collected. You see that dropping off in fiscal year 2016, and that's because in fiscal year 2016, the concession portion of CMA's, that is Metro's, was pledged for the loan that was issued for the seats and the concrete repair work and such. So you no longer see that, and you'll notice that Metro's contribution at that point jumped to $1 million, which is the requirement that's in the lease. And then the next line is the capital fund expense, and that is everything that has been reimbursed to the Titans for CapEx definition under the lease. And the reason you see that being more, that 1.7 million compared to the last year of 360, is if you'll remember, there was a deferral for the field heating system that got pushed down the road a little bit and then was approved at a later meeting. So that overlapped the fiscal year for Metro. So but if you put those two together and average it, it averages out with the rest of the reimbursements. Okay, do I have any questions on that? Okay, next. Next is just a detail of our current receivable. We are sitting at about $8.7 million in receivable. We had additions of about 362 since our last meeting. Those were comprised of invoices we received related to the radio project and the video surveillance project. And then with that, I'll take any questions. And we actually covered the CapEx communication tool in detail at the Finance Committee meeting. Just to let the full board know, there was only one new additional project that was added to the CapEx communication tool since our last meeting, and that was Wi-Fi at the gates. And that is due to mobile ticketing that is occurring for our Titans games, and also all of the non-football events that come through the building use mobile ticketing as well. And we did not have Wi-Fi at the gates or outside the gates for our fans to utilize. So when they come to the game, they now have their tickets. They'll either have a card, season ticket card, or their ticket will be on their phone. So we needed to provide that access. Do I have any questions? Okay, if not, speaking to kind of Ryan, we do have a little short video. We at the Titans have really invested quite a bit of money into our productions department, and we are really excited about a lot of the great things that they have been doing at the Titans to get us out there on social and really just show who we are and kind of some behind the scenes kind of cool things. And so this year we did a new segment called Ignite the Fire. You can also find it on our mobile app. If you don't have Titans mobile app, please download it on your phone because it's awesome. And so I want to just show you a quick snippet
Everybody's got a story.
of Ignite the
You
Fire.
learn from these guys that have been through different journeys. It doesn't matter, Rashawn, how we got here. It doesn't matter how I got here, standing in front of you. It doesn't matter how John got here, or any of the assistant coaches, or whether you're a tryout guy. The only thing that's going to matter from here on out, okay, is what you do, okay, now that you're here.
Ball's going that way. All right, just step here, right here. Right, be powerful. Pitch moving with power, right? So, get out.
Good. I told those players that we're going to treat you the same way you treat the team. And if you care about the team and you're really good to the team and you put the team first, we'll treat you real well.
I want to be more aggressive and more physical at the line of scrimmage with our press technique. My read is I'm reading you, so if you take the guy because he's press, then you're straight. I'm going to take your guy.
It's right there, I promise.
Hey, give me good.
Make sure we got intensity, fellas. Moving around.
Patience. Ah, get it.
We're pretending it's third down. Get the ball. Get out, go, one more.
One more, right? Hey, watch the nickel. Watch the nickel.
You only have X amount of times when you can get out on the grass with these guys, so you got to make every opportunity count.
I want you to start working on that balls in here and get outside the numbers. I want you to work on setting that dude and getting here on the dudes and try to pull him.
You want to really get out there, so make that defender make a decision.
You have to be very detailed.
I want you to turn over your outside shoulder.
Because people have to be in certain spots at certain times for it all to come together and be executed to perfection. And that's obviously what we're all shooting for, is perfection.
The publicity that we get by being football players isn't going to help us do what, Taylor? Win. Where we can play football. We're not here to play. We're here to win. Okay, so understand that. That publicity isn't going to help us win at the end of the day. What's going to help us win is getting in here, meeting, okay, understanding what to do, working the skills on the field, developing, getting better, having a relationship with Marcus, having a relationship with the line, whatever we need to do, that's the stuff that's going to help us win. Everything that we do inside this building is going to help us win.
Plays a run. Play a run. Stay good. Stay up. Stay up. When you come and you squeeze them in and you get closer to them, expect the hands. You see what I'm saying? Whoa, dying. This is a group of guys working very, very hard, and they are willing and eager to do whatever is asked of them. I think they are eager for success. I think they hunger for success, and I think that they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I want you to be confident. I want you to have fun. Because guess what? What is football? Fun. Exactly. It's fun. We'll have fun out there, man.
And with that, I just want to say thank you all so much for your time today. Lisa, we'll miss you, really miss you. And if you do have a chance to come out to training camp, we would love to have you out. We did the same thing this year that we did last year. We've actually put in bleachers all around the training facility, and a lot of them have nice shade. And it's a really, if you didn't make it out last year, I highly recommend you come out, bring your kids. It's really a great opportunity to come and see the players, see how big they are. The players stay after practice, they do autographs, and it's just really a great thing. We have face painting, we've got all kinds of really cool things for kids, and so highly recommend, if you have not come out, to come out. It is open, free to the public, so hope to see you there. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine, and the rest of the Tennessee Titans organization for that tremendous presentation. It's nice to see what all's going on in this building and the various activities and that your organization is part of, and it's really an honor to be part of that as well. So as far as any other business, seeing none, I assume, since we're late in the hour, and thank you all for your time. We do try to be respectful of everyone's time, so thank you for hanging with us today. Our next meeting will be August 16th at First Tennessee Park, and otherwise, unless you're coming to the Kenny Chesney show on the 11th, it might be football time before you're back here, and hopefully we'll all be saying tighten up and cheering together soon. So with no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.